The rain hit me like a slap from God himself, turning the world into a blurry watercolor of regret. I stood there in the empty quad, my prank supplies, a fake snake and a whoopee cushion, scattered at my feet like the pathetic remnants of a life half-lived. And then he spoke, his voice cutting through the storm. Colton, if blindness taught me anything, it's that the real monsters aren't the ones you can't see. They're the ones you invite into your own heart. My name on his lips was the first punch. I'd never told him my name. Hell, I'd barely spoken to him at all. But Elias, he knew. Somehow, in the 3 weeks I'd been shadowing him like a ghost, planning the ultimate gotcha to impress my idiot frat brothers, he'd pieced me together. Not from sight but from sound. The scuff of my sneakers on the path, the hitch in my breath when I got too close. Blind, yeah, but sharper than any hawk. It started innocently enough, or at least that's what I told myself. I'm Colton Hayes, 21, junior at Oberlin College in this godforsaken corner of Ohio where the cornfields stretch like accusations and the winters bite harder than my daddy's belt ever did back in Tulsa. Gay as a picnic basket in June, but closeted tighter than a nun's habit. My life's a series of dodges. Dodge the questions from my Baptist folks about why I ain't got a girl yet. Dodge the hookups that feel too real. Dodge the mirror that stares back with eyes too tired for my age. Pranks? They're my armor. Harmless chaos to keep the darkness at bay. That Tuesday in September, the air thick with the promise of fall, I spotted him on the edge of the quad. Elias Whitaker, that's what the campus whispers called him. Transferred in from some fancy school out east, majoring in philosophy or some shit that sounds like it's designed to make you question your soul. Tall, maybe 6'2", with that effortless grace you only see in old Hollywood films. Sandy blonde hair that fell just so, skin pale like he'd been forged in moonlight, and those eyes, milky blue, unseeing, hidden behind aviator shades even on cloudy days. He moved with a white cane tapping the ground like Morse code for, "Don't fuck with me." But something about him screamed vulnerability. Easy target. My bros in Delta Chi, guys like Brody and Jax who chug Natty Light and catcall sorority girls, were egging me on. Prank the blind dude, Colt. It'll be legendary. Jax slapped my back, his breath reeking of cheap whiskey. We were in the basement, posters of half-naked chicks peeling off the walls, the kind of place where dreams go to die. I laughed it off at first, but the idea wormed in. What harm could it do? A little scare, a viral TikTok, and I'd be the king of campus. Forget the ache in my chest from scrolling Grindr at 2 a.m., pretending I didn't want more than a quick grind. So I started small. Followed him to the library, where he'd sit in the back corner, fingers flying over Braille books or that talking laptop of his. I'd rustle pages too loud, drop coins just to hear him flinch. He never did, just tilted his head, like he was listening to a symphony only he could hear. One afternoon, I accidentally bumped his table, sending his coffee mug skittering. "Sorry, man," I muttered, voice pitched low. He smiled, God, that smile, warm as sun on snow, and said, "No worries. Spills are just life's way of saying hello." I bolted, heart hammering, not from guilt, but from the way his voice wrapped around me like a secret. Guilt? Nah, not yet. That came later. By week 2, the pranks escalated. I swapped his cane's tip with a rubber one that squeaked like a dying mouse. He laughed when it happened in the cafeteria line. Actually laughed, deep and rumbling, drawing stares from the vegan hippies and jockstraps alike. "Cute," he said, not to me but to the air. "Whoever you are, you've got a flair for the dramatic." I froze behind the salad bar, forkful of kale halfway to my mouth. How? But he just kept moving, that squeak echoing like my own damn conscience. That's when the surprise hit. Not the prank blowing up in my face, though it would, but the pull. I'd find excuses to linger near the philosophy building, where he'd hold court after class. Students clustered around him, drawn to his stories. Growing up in a lighthouse keeper's family on the Maine coast, losing his sight to some rare fever at 16, turning blindness into a superpower. "Seeing isn't believing," he'd say, voice like aged whiskey. "Believing is seeing." I'd hide in the shadows, notebook forgotten, soaking it in. Who was this guy? Not a victim, but a force. And me? Just a clown with a crush I wouldn't name. The night of the big prank, thunder grumbled like an old man woken too early. Jax and Brody hyped me up over pizza in the student union. extra cheese, because nothing says peak masculinity like grease stains on your soul patch. Do the snake in the rain, Brody suggested, eyes gleaming. Blind guy's gonna shit bricks. I nodded, but my stomach twisted. Elias had a routine. Quad at 8 p.m., Kane tapping toward the dorms, earbuds in, lost in some audiobook about existential dread. Perfect ambush spot. I waited under the oaks, branches clawing the sky. The fake snake coiled in my pocket like sin. Rain started as a drizzle, then sheets soaking my hoodie.
Footsteps? Top, top, top.
He emerged from the lit path, collar up, looking like he'd stepped out of a Kerouac novel. Hard in my throat, I stepped out, whispered, "Boo," and flung the snake at his feet. It landed with a pathetic splat. He stopped, Kane frozen mid-air. Then lightning cracked, illuminating his face. Shades off, eyes wide and sightless, but piercing all the same. "Colton," he said softly. Not a question. "Why?" I stammered, rain mixing with the burn in my eyes. It was just a joke. For laughs. Lies. The whoopee cushion tumbled from my bag. Absurd in the mud. He knelt, slow, deliberate, and picked up the snake, fingers tracing its rubber scales. "A joke," he echoed, voice cracking like the thunder. "Or a cry. I've heard you, every night pacing your room above the quad. The floorboards creak like they're confessing for you." My world tilted. He knew. All of it. The shadows, the sighs, the grinder notifications I silenced too late. "How? Sound?" he said, standing closer now, his cologne faint under the petrichor, ocean salt and pine. "An instinct. You're not subtle, Colton Hayes, but you're hurting. And pranks? They're just bandages on bullet wounds." I backed up, branches snagging my shirt. "You don't know shit about me." But he did. More than I knew myself. That night, as the storm raged, he didn't yell or run. He just stayed. Handed me the snake back, like it was a peace offering. "Walk with me," he said. "Not as a target. As a friend." And damn if I didn't follow. Through the downpour, our shoulders brushing, words spilling like the rain. He talked about the lighthouse, waves crashing like applause for a life half-seen. I mumbled about Tulsa, the church pews that felt like cages, the first boy I kissed behind the bleachers, tasting like stolen freedom and fear. By the dorm steps, soaked to the bone, I realized the prank hadn't scared him. It had cracked me open. That was hook one. The second came a week later, in the library stacks, where silence is supposed to reign but secrets scream loudest. Elias found me. Always him finding me. Fingers brushing mine as he slid a book into my hand. "Read this," he whispered. "Nietzsche. About becoming who you are." His touch lingered, electric, and for the first time I didn't pull away. Instead, I leaned in, breath mingling, and asked, "What if who I am is broken?" His laugh was soft, intimate. "Then we're both collectors of shards." And just like that, the prankster became the pursued. Dates? Not yet. But coffees in the Union. Walks where his cane tapped our rhythm. Late-night calls where his voice painted pictures my eyes couldn't forget. Elias wasn't just blind. He saw me. The real me. The gay kid from Oklahoma dreaming of Broadway lights and boys who stayed. But shadows lengthen, don't they? Jax and Brody noticed my fade. "Where you been, Hayes?" "Dodging the blind monk now." Jax's grin was all teeth, no warmth. They didn't get it. The way Elias quoted Whitman like scripture made philosophy feel like foreplay without the filth. "Leaves of grass," he'd say, pressing a blade between my fingers during a picnic by the Black River. "We're all connected, Colton. Roots under the soil." I was falling hard and heedless. First kiss. Under those same oaks. A month in. Stars pricking the sky like hesitant confessions. His lips tentative, then sure, tasting of chamomile tea and courage. My hands in his hair, world narrowing to the press of his body, solid and yielding. No rush, no grind, just us, breathing each other in. "I've waited," he murmured against my neck, "for someone who sees with their heart. Bliss, right? Until the betrayal slithered in, cold as the snake I'd once wielded. It was Halloween, campus alive with jack-o'-lanterns and bad decisions. Delta Chi threw its annual bash. kegs in the yard, fog machines choking the air. I begged off, told Elias I'd meet him later for a quiet haunt at the old mill. But Jax cornered me outside, phone in hand, video rolling. Check this, bro. Your boy's got secrets. The clip, Elias, from months back, in some Boston bar, arm around a guy, tall, dark-haired, laughing like they shared a lifetime. Caption: blind philosophers not so pure, hooked up with ex last summer. Watch your back, Hayes. My gut hollowed. Lies? Or truth? Elias had mentioned an ex, Tristan, the one who'd bailed when the fever took his sight. Couldn't handle the dark, he'd said, voice laced with old pain. But this? Intimate, time-stamped July. Before Oberlin. Before us. I confronted him at the mill, ghosts of the prank haunting the creak of floorboards. Who's Tristan? I spat, phone thrust like a dagger. Rain again, always rain, drumming the tin roof. Elias froze, cane tapping once, twice. Colton. It's not. Save it. You're just like them. Playing me while you chase ghosts. Hurt twisted to rage, the closeted kid in me roaring. I stormed out, leaving him in the echoes. The days after blurred into a hangover of the soul, each one heavier than the last. Oberlin's autumn painted the campus in fire. Red maples like bleeding hearts, gold birches whispering accusations. But I saw none of it. Just the loop of that video in my head. Tristan's hand on Elias's shoulder. A casual intimacy that mocked our fragile thing. I skipped classes, holed up in my room with a bottle of Fireball and playlists of angry country anthems. Garth Brooks crooning about friends in low places, because irony's a bitch. My phone stayed dark. Elias's texts piled up like unanswered prayers. Talk to me. Please. I see you even now. Seeing. That word gutted me. What did a blind man see in a liar like me? The prankster who'd built our bridge on bullshit. I replayed it all. The library brushes. The river picnics where he'd describe colors he'd lost. Crimson like a lover's blush. Azure like endless skies. And I'd spill my own losses. The Tulsa nights hiding under quilts from Daddy's sermons on Sodom. You're my light, he'd say, fingers tracing my jaw. And I'd believe it. God help me. Until Jax's gift shattered the illusion. Brody tried to play wingman, barging in with pizza and pity. Dude, blind guy's damaged goods. Plenty of tail at the party. Tail. Like I was a dog chasing scraps. I shoved him out, but the seed was planted. Doubt festered. Was I just the rebound? The easy mark, too starstruck to question? Gay life in Ohio wasn't rainbows and RuPaul. It was dive bars and discretion. Hookups and truck stops that left you hollow. Elias had promised more. Depth, damn it, the kind poets bleed for. But if he could hide Tristan, what else lurked? The confrontation came unbidden. A week in, during a campus poetry slam in the SCO. The room hummed with beatnik vibes. Candles flickering on mismatched tables. Undergrads snapping instead of clapping. Air thick with patchouli and privilege. I slunk in late, hood up, nursing a black coffee like it could caffeinate my courage. Elias was there, on stage, voice weaving verses about shadows that love back. In the void, I found your echo, he recited, head tilted as if scenting me in the crowd. A prankster's laugh, a heart's quiet thunder. The room sighed. I choked. After, in the alley behind, gravel crunching under our boots, it exploded. Stop hiding, he said, no cane. He'd learned the paths by heart or maybe by me. I know you're here. I stepped out, fists clenched. How? Superpowers now. Your cologne. Cheap and citrusy, like stolen summers. His smile was tentative, scarred. And your breathing. It's always ragged when you're near. Rage boiled over. Like how you breathed with him. Tristan. I hurled the name like a grenade. Video paused on my phone, glowing accusatory. Elias's face crumpled, not in defense, but defeat. He sagged against the brick, rain slick from an earlier shower. It's not what you think. Tristan. He was my anchor before the dark. We tried again last summer, post-breakup. One night, Colton. One mistake. I ended it because it wasn't home. You are. Liar. But my voice cracked. The closeted kid surfacing, terrified of trust. You knew about my pranks from day one. Played along. For what? Pity fuck for the queer redneck. His hand shot out, gripping my arm. Not gentle, fierce.
No.
Because I heard you. The loneliness in your steps. The way you pause before laughing. Like joy's a thief. I pranked you back, Colton. With patience. With truth. And you threw it away for a clip. We stood there, breaths sinking in the chill. The slam's echoes fading. Something shifted then. A rawness like skin peeled back. I'm scared, I admitted, voice small. Of this. Of us. Back home. Love like ours gets you disowned or worse. Elias pulled me close, forehead to mine. His world of darkness enveloping my light. Then let's be scared together. No more games. We kissed there, in the alley's grime. Not fireworks but embers. Slow burn of forgiveness. I deleted the video, blocked Jack's. Dates resumed. Bonfires by the lake, where he'd teach me constellations by their stories. Orion the hunter forever chasing. We're all chasing, he'd say, head on my shoulder. But some of us learned to stop. Winter crept in, snow blanketing Oberlin like a hush. Christmas loomed, a specter from Tulsa. Mama's fruitcake laced with passive questions. Daddy's Bible thumps. Elias sensed the storm. Go home, he urged over cocoa in his cramped dorm. Radiator clanking like a heartbeat. Face it, I'll be here. But betrayal's a boomerang. Mine returned via email, 2 days before break. Subject: your boy's been busy. Sender: anonymous. But the attachment screamed Jack's. Screenshots of Elias's old socials. Timestamps from Boston Dives. Tristan tagged in hearts. He's using you, Hayes. Wake up. I confronted Brody first. Cornered him in the weight room. Dumbbells forgotten. You leak this shit? He shrugged. Sweat slick. Just looking out. Bro, blind guys got a rep. You deserve better than sloppy seconds. Sloppy seconds. The phrase ignited something primal. I swung. Fist connecting with his jaw, a crack like winter ice. Chaos. Shouts, security hauling me off, blood on my knuckles tasting like copper freedom. Suspended for the semester, they said. Fine. Better than chained. Elias waited in the dean's office lobby. Cane tapping worry. What happened? I collapsed beside him, story tumbling out. The emails, the punch, the poison. His silence stretched. Then, Tristan's reaching out. Again. Said he heard about us, wants to talk. I told him no. The pieces clicked. He's the leak? Stirring shit. Elias nodded, weary. Jealousy's a blindfold worse than mine. But Colton, this isn't about him. It's us. We drove that night, my old Chevy groaning through snow-dusted backroads, toward the lighthouse of his stories. 2 hours north, a rented cabin on Lake Erie. Waves like Elias's voice. Relentless, soothing. No phones, no pranks. Just us, bundled in quilts, sharing scars. He confessed the fever's theft. Not just sight, but pieces of self, the way mirrors became enemies. I spilled Tulsa truths. The cousin who outed me at 15. The shotgun wedding I dodged by fleeing west. You're my first real, I whispered, his hand in mine, calloused from cane and books. Love deepened there, in the cabin's creaks. Lazy mornings with coffee and Camus, evenings tracing each other's maps with fingertips. No rush to labels. We were simply Colton and Elias, two queers carving space in a world that'd rather we vanish. But climax brews in calm. Doesn't it? New Year's Eve, fireworks over the lake, and my phone buzzed. Mama. Voice tinny. Come home, baby. We miss you. No questions. Trap or truce? I hung up, Elias's arms around me. Go if you need to. I'll wait. Back in Tulsa, the airport's fluorescent hum felt like Judgment Day. January 2nd, air crisp as Daddy's expectations. And there I was, lugging a duffel of doubts, Elias's scarf. Wool scented with pine. Knotted around my neck like a lifeline. Mama hugged fierce at baggage claim. Her perfume cloying, Dad's handshake bone crush. Good to have you, son, he rumbled, eyes scanning for cracks. The drive home. Flatlands scrolling by, radio tuned to gospel stations crooning redemption. I nodded along, but inside, Elias's words echoed. Believing is seeing. Home was a rancher on the edge of town. Yellow siding faded like old promises, cross-stitched above the door. Dinner that night, Meatloaf and mashed, family table groaning under small talk. Aunt Rita prattled about church bingo. Cousin Jake, the one who'd spilled my secret years back, smirked over his peas. Heard you're studying artsy-fartsy stuff up north, Colt. Still dodging the real world. Dad's fork paused. Oberlin's fine school. But a man's gotta think future, job, family. His gaze lingered, probing. Mama changed the subject to pies. But the air thickened. Unspoken questions hanging like smoke. Nights were worse. My old room. Twin beds sagging. Posters of Nolan Ryan and Ford trucks mocking the grinder ghosts in my drawer. I'd text Elias under covers. Miss your voice. This place is a cage. His replies. Voice notes, low and loving. Reciting E. Cummings. I carry your heart with me. It anchored me, that digital thread, until the fraying started. Day 3. Dad cornered me in the garage. Oil stains mapping his hands like regrets. Pastor Reynolds mentioned you. Boys up there. Influencing bad. His voice was gravel, Bible in pocket like a loaded gun. I froze, wrench slipping from grease-smeared fingers. What? Don't play dumb, Colton. We know. About preferences. Mama hovered in the doorway, eyes wet. We just want you whole, baby. Whole. The word sliced. I bolted to the backyard. Oklahoma stars vast and indifferent. Elias's scarf choking me. Dialed him, sobbing. They know. Somehow. It's over. His calm pierced the panic. Breathe. You're not broken. Come back when you're ready. I'll be here. But betrayal's venom spread. That weekend, church, inevitable as sin. Pews packed with faces I'd fled. Pastor Reynolds droning on Sodom's fire. Eyes flicking my way. After, in the fellowship hall, Jake sidled up, breath hot with coffee. Got a package for you. From your blind buddy. It was a manila envelope, postmarked Oberlin. Inside, printed emails, Elias to Tristan. Miss our talks. Ohio's cold without you. Dates recent, December, our cabin month. And photos. Elias at a campus cafe, Tristan across. No blurry, but the lean frame unmistakable. My world imploded. Jake's grin. Found it on the dark web or some shit. Thought you'd want truth. Truth. Or sabotage. I drove to the quarry that night. Tires spinning gravel. Envelope clutched like a noose. Called Elias. Accusation spilling. You're talking to him? Still. Silence, then fracture. Colton, those are old. Tristan's hacking my accounts. Stirring. I blocked him months ago. Liar. Photos don't lie. Rain again. Freak storm. Sheets blurring the windshield. You pranked me from the start. The wise blind guy routine. Bullshit. Stop. His voice broke. Raw. I love you. That's no prank. Come back. Let's fix. I hung up, hurling the phone into the quarry's maw. Splash echoing my shatter. Drove blind through the night. Tulsa's lights fading. Heart a war drum. Betrayal? Mine, his, theirs, all tangled. By dawn, I was at the airport. One way to Cleveland. Scarf discarded in a trash bin like shed skin. Oberlin greeted with February's bite. Campus a ghost town under ice. Elias's dorm. Light off. Cane by the door like a sentinel. I pounded, voice hoarse. Open up. We end this now. He did. Pajamas rumpled, hair wild. Eyes unseeing but seeing me whole. Colton. Not a question. We crashed together. Fury and fear colliding in the tiny room. Words flew. Accusations, confessions, the envelope's poison spilled. Tristan hacked me. Elias insisted. Laptop open. Logs proving intrusions. He's obsessed. Reported him to campus IT yesterday. Proof stared back, timestamps, IP traces to Boston. My knees buckled. Jake. He fed me lies. Like Jack's. I'm the fool. Elias pulled me down onto the bed, arms iron bands. No. You're human. We both are. Love's not a prank. It's the mess after. Climax crested there. Not in screams but sobs. Mine for the cage I'd built. His for the dark that echoed my doubts. I almost lost you, he whispered, fingers in my hair. To shadows. We talked till dawn. Plans to press charges on Tristan. Therapy for my Tulsa wounds. Coming out to my folks via letter. raw, unapologetic. I love a man who sees my soul. I'd write. Elias nodded, cane tapping resolve. And I'll read it to them if you want. Voice of truth. Spring thawed us. Oberlin bloomed. Cherry blossoms like confetti for second chances. We walked the quad hand in hand, no hiding. Whispers followed, but they faded against our rhythm. Tap, step, love. Deltaki, ghosts. Jax expelled for harassment. Brody a memory in beer pong lore. Summer found us road-tripping Route 66 in reverse, west to east, reclaiming miles. Stops at diners with neon promises, motels with sagging springs, Elias navigating by stories, me by maps. In a Taos canyon, under stars like scattered diamonds, he proposed, not rings, but vows. Be my eyes, Colton. I'll be your heart. I said yes, tears salt on sagebrush wind. Back in Ohio, graduation loomed, diplomas in theater for me, philosophy for him. Jobs beckoned. Me directing off-Broadway, him teaching at a community college for the sightless. Humanistic, yeah, growth from grit, love from loss. The most dramatic scene, that rainy quad night, a year on anniversary eve. I knelt. Mud-soaking jeans, a real snake? No. A locket with his lighthouse photo, braille engraved. You are my sight. Thunder rumbled. He lifted me, kiss sealing it. Surprised. I teased. Every day? He laughed, pulling me close. But the best kind. In America's heartland sprawl, two queers proved it. Pranks fade, but love? It endures. Blind or seeing, betrayed or betrayer, we chose light. Together.